Hi, thanks for joining me again. I don't know about you, but I often get a tender back after a day at work sitting at my desk. So today we're going to try and combat that with some slow, deliberate movements. Let's get straight into it. Come into a comfortable child's pose. You can have your knees together or apart, whatever feels good to your body, letting your head rest down towards the floor. Feel free to use a pillow, block or blanket underneath your head to help you rest down further. Start to incorporate some deep, slow breathing in and out through your nose, slowing down the body and preparing yourself for the practice ahead. Roll up, letting your head come up last, and come to lie on your back. Bring your fingers to your hip creases or your hands to your lower belly and start to feel the breath in and out through your nose, letting your stomach expand with every inhale and deflate with every exhale. Try to keep the length of your spine pressing into the floor, from the base of your skull to your lower back. Keeping the length of your spine pressing into the floor, raise your right knee to tabletop position. This should immediately turn on your core muscles. Drop the toes back down to the floor and repeat on the left side. Repeat this movement going from side to side, inhaling as you lift the foot up and exhaling as you place it back down to the floor. Your fingers on your hip points should give you a good indication of what's happening in your lower body. You want your hips to be slightly tucked and your full back pressing down into the floor so that all the work is coming from your core. One more each side, breathing deeply. And rest. Start pressing your back down into the floor again, turning on your abs. We're going to repeat that movement, but this time we're going to bring both legs together, up and down to tabletop position. If this feels too difficult or aggravates your lower back in any way, please revert back to our previous movement, one toe at a time. 3 more to go. Inhale as you pull up, exhale as you touch down. Pull your knees into your chest and rock side to side to release the tension. Roll onto your side into a fetal position and take a couple of breaths, just feeling that work through the core of your body. Slowly push yourself into a seated position, letting your head come up last. Come into a cross-legged pose with your right foot in front of your left and your hands resting gently on your knees, just taking a brief moment to appreciate the work we've already done. Turn around and come onto your stomach. Tent your fingertips out in front of your face and start to lift your ribs off of your hips. This may sound strange, but it's a really great move to master. Sitting at desks all day can cause compression between our vertebrae. Being able to pick your ribs off of your hips offers extra space, length, and even height to your body. Bring your hands down by your sides and relax, palms facing up. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders in preparation for Cobra pose. Working on the principle of lifting your ribs off of your hips, start to tuck your tailbone and lift your chest up very slightly in a baby cobra position, toes pressing strongly into the floor, trying to keep your neck in a neutral position and not forgetting to breathe. Relax back down and repeat. You're going for a flowing motion down to the floor, inhale up to cobra and exhale release. Release. Push yourself into a tabletop position and flow on to a bent leg downward dog position. Work on lifting the hips as high to the sky as you can, while maintaining a lift and contraction through your upper back. Very slowly, step your feet forward between your hands and bring them to the edges of the mat. Either straightening the legs or keeping them bent, fold yourself forward, cycling through the knees and releasing through the lower back. Start to bring your hands above your knees, bend your legs and arch your lower back. You're now in a type of modified chair position. You can lift your toes to make sure that you're putting the pressure through the heels of the feet. And on your next inhale, try to bring your arms in line with your ears. Sitting back even more deeply and breathing in and out through your nose. Start to bring your hands by your shoulders, bending your elbows, so you're in a kind of warped skiing position. Keeping your legs in much the same position, start to lower and lift your chest very slightly. You should feel this work strongly through your lower back. Keep peeling the shoulders down, using the breath to help you. I know this is burning, but this is where it begins to get worthwhile when we work through the hard parts. On your next inhale, bring your arms back by your ears. Inhale strongly, come a little bit deeper, and exhale, come up to stand. Well done. Bring yourself back to the top of the mat. Inhale your arms up to the sky, and exhale, fold down, with your knees bent or straight. Inhale, look out to your flat back. Exhale, fold. And step back to your downward facing dog. Come up onto your tiptoes and place your right foot between your hands. From this lunge position, bring your hands onto your right thigh and raise your torso. Instead of dropping into this lunge, what we actually want to do is push through the back leg, arch the lower back, and lift the hips slightly higher, again creating a bit more space and buoyancy. Bring your hands up towards the sky, inhale and exhale your hands back towards the floor, back to downward dog. Now we'll repeat it on the left side. Bring your left foot between your hands. Start to bring your hands to your left thigh. Pushing through your right leg to keep your hips higher than the usual lunge. Bring your hands up towards the sky on an inhale. Exhale the hands to the floor and step back to downward dog. Treading through the feet and shaking out through the head and neck. Bring your right foot between your hands, bringing your hands to your right knee and stretching through the back leg. Bring your arms towards the sky, clasp your left wrist with your right hand and lean towards the right hand side, stretching through the ribs. Come back up to center, lower down and come back to downward facing dog. Repeating on the opposite side, bring your left foot forward. Bring your hands to your knees in lunge, arms up towards the sky, grabbing the opposite wrist, so right wrist with your left hand, and swaying over to the left hand side, stretching through the right ribs. Come back up to center, exhale, back to downward dog. Once again, bring your right foot between your hands. Come back into your lunge position. This time bending the back knee deeply. This should create a good amount of space for you to be able to lift your torso up semi-vertically. Maybe even going for a slight back bend, tucking the hips underneath. Bring your left arm up and start to sway over to the right side. Coming back to center and releasing back into downward dog. Repeat on the left. Bring the left foot forward, come up into lunge. Bend the right knee deeply. Come up straight or maybe even a slight back bend. Tucking your hips underneath. Raise your right arm towards the sky and sway over to the left. Try not to lose your balance. Come back down to center, back into your downward dog. If at any point this feels too much, please come into child's pose and rest for a few breaths. Move forward to a plank position, drop the knees and drop the chest towards the floor. Now that our back is nice and warm and open, we're going to attempt our upward dogs or cobras again. Bring your hands under your shoulders and start to push your body away from the floor, keeping your hips slightly engaged and tucked. Push down through the feet and keep the neck neutral. Lower back down towards the floor and push back to downward dog. Lightly walk your feet forward to between your hands for a forward fold. Taking your feet to the edges of the mat. Look out to a flat back. And come back to that awkward chair pose. Bringing your arms up beside your ears. Lifting your toes to really feel the engagement. And push yourself up to stand. Bring your hands into a prayer position. And inhale, bring your hands towards the sky, letting your head fall back. Tucking your hips and coming into a slight back bend. If this is uncomfortable, please stay in an upright position, just working on tucking your hips. Arching your lower back and sticking your bum out behind you, start to fold down, keeping your knees nice and bent. Come into a forward fold. Inhale, look out to a flat back, and exhale, step one foot and then the other back into downward dog. Rock forward into plank, lower your knees, chest and chin to the floor. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Once again, pull your shoulders down and push yourself up into a cobra position, making sure that your neck isn't crunched and your shoulders are pulling down towards your back. Exhale, lower back towards the floor and push yourself back to downward facing dog. Walk or hop yourself back towards the front of the mat, back into your wide leg forward fold. Bend your knees deeply, look out to a flat back, and swan dive up towards a standing position, reaching your arms up towards the sky, slight back bend, and then pull your thumbs towards the midline. Exhale, hands back over the head, slight back bend. As you exhale, arch your lower back and lower down into your forward fold with bent legs. Inhale, look out to a flat back. Exhale, step back to plank. Lower down your knees, chest and chin, inchworm towards the floor. Bring your hands under your shoulders, pull your elbows in tight towards your body and push yourself into a cobra pose. Exhale, release. Come back into downward dog. Slowly walk yourself towards the front of the mat and come to a seated position. Legs crossed in front of you. Well done, toughest part is now over. Come down into a lying position, keeping your knees bent and your feet on the floor. Start to feel the length of your back pushing into the floor once again, and just see if you can feel any differences to the start of the practice. Does your back feel more open? Are there less tender spots? Do you feel any pain? Breathe deeply in and out through the nose, filling the stomach. Start to rock your hips forward so you have a slight gap underneath your lower back. We're going to come into our bridge practice now. So, keeping this position, start to push with your feet and gently lift your hips upwards. We're not going for the biggest bridge that you can do today. I want you to try not to grip too hard through your glutes. Push through your feet, keep your knees parallel. At this point, if you prefer, you can bring a block beneath your lower back, instead practicing a supported back bend. Start to lower down, glutes hitting the floor first, and then rolling out through the spine. We're going to repeat that. So again, start to rock the hips away from you, creating a gap between your lower back and the mat. Very slowly and gently start to lift your hips towards the sky, pushing through the feet. You can rock from side to side to bring your shoulder blades underneath. You can even clasp your hands underneath yourself if that helps. Exhale, lower down. Grab a block or a book and place it between your knees. We're going to repeat our bridges, this time pushing in towards the block. So as you exhale, start to lift your hips towards the sky, clasping your hands behind yourself. You'll find that you might not be able to come as high with your knees pressing together. This is fine, we're just trying to turn on the muscles surrounding the hips and the glutes. Release the hands and lower back down towards the floor. Bring your arms out into a T position, keeping the block between your knees. Lift your feet off the ground and start to come into a twist, letting the knees fall over to the left. Opening the right arm out to the right. and gazing over the right shoulder. Don't worry if your knee or your shoulder doesn't touch the ground, that's completely normal. If it feels more comfortable, you can rest the block between your lower legs rather than between your thighs. On your next inhale, bring yourself up to center and start to switch to the opposite side. Letting your knees roll over to the right, gazing over your left outstretched arm. Place your right hand on your knees for some extra weight, if that feels good to you. You might notice that one side is a lot tighter than the other. Again, that's completely normal. We all have imbalances in our bodies. This is caused from everyday things like crossing our legs a certain way or even using our knives and forks. Breathe deeply, just trying to expand through the ribs, through the back, through the chest. On your next inhale, come back up to center and release the block. Roll yourself up to a seated position. Start to lower yourself down into a reclined position, keeping your legs crossed. If this is uncomfortable, please release, stretching your legs out. If you're comfortable, we're going to perform Shavasana in this position. Place your hands down by your sides and breathe deeply, releasing your practice. If you still have your legs crossed, at this point, switch the direction of the cross. If you have longer to practice, I would recommend staying in Shavasana for as long as possible. If you have time commitments, we're approaching the 25-minute mark. So at this point, start to stretch yourself out and roll up to a seated position. I hope your back feels as good as mine. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.